Hello friends, this is Education Grid and this is our presentation on the Introduction to Trigonometry. This topic is basically introduced in class 10th, continues in classes 11th and 12th and finds its way in various subjects like physics, some parts of economics also, and is later studied in engineering classes too. So let's start with the topic Introduction to Trigonometry. Trigonometry. Trigonometry is a branch of mathematics which deals with problems related to right-angled triangles. Please focus on the word right-angled triangles. To give you a basic information, the history, this word trigonometry comes from a Greek word with the breakup, tri meaning three, gon meaning sides, and metron meaning measure. So this is the measure of the three sides, that is of a triangle. It is used to measure heights and distances of objects and has a lot of practical applications as you would see further. Now for a little introduction before we move on to the actual trigonometry part. We all know that the angles of a triangle always add up to 180 degree. So here we have the examples of two triangles, one with acute angles, one with one of the angles as obtuse angles, and we see that all the angles will sum up to 180 degree. If it is not 180 degree, it is not a triangle. Now we shift our focus to right triangles. In trigonometry, please understand, we talk only about right triangles. A right triangle is one in which one of the angles is 90 degree. Here's a right triangle. Here you can see a triangle which is marked on the left with the perpendicular sign, which is the right triangle. Here you can see the right angle being pointed to. We call the longest side as the hypotenuse. You can see that the longest side is the one which is opposite to the right angle. Then in trigonometry what we do is we pick up one of the other angles. You see there are two more angles left except the right angle. So we pick up one of the other angles, not the right angle, and then the other two sides are named related to that angle. You will see this in the next coming up slides. Hypotenuse. Here is the angle which we are looking at, which we see over here. This is the angle which we have marked. Now, related to this, the side which is attached to this angle will be called as the base, and the side which is opposite to this angle will be called as the perpendicular. Please understand that as the relative angle changes, the perpendicular and base will be interchanged. They are not fixed. Only hypotenuse is the fixed side, which is the side which is opposite to the right angle. The Pythagorean Theorem. We have studied Pythagorean Theorem somewhere in class 8th and 9th, which is again an implementation of trigonometry only. If you square, this theorem states that if you square the length of the two shorter sides and add them, you get the square of the length of the hypotenuse. In formula, in mathematical terms, this translates to base square plus perpendicular square is equal to hypotenuse square, as you can very clearly see in the figure, and can also be counted through the squares which are marked. Some example which we have taken, let's say the base is 3, the perpendicular is 4. So the hypotenuse will be 5 because 3 square plus 4 square is equal to 5 square. 9 plus 16 is equal to 25. Now let's see what is Pythagorean triplet. There are a few triangles with integer sides which satisfy the Pythagorean formula. 3, 4, 5. This is a very famous Pythagorean triplet. Its multiples also form the Pythagorean triplet. 5, 12, 13. That is also a Pythagorean triplet. So here in this, if you see 3, 4, 5, 5 will be the hypotenuse because it is the longest side, and 3 and 4 will be the base and perpendicular as related to the angle taken. Similarly, in the second example, 5, 12 and 13, 13 will be the hypotenuse and 5 and 12 will be either base or perpendicular depending on the angle taken. Ratios. Now we move on to trigonometric ratios, which forms the base of all further trigonometric studies. Since a triangle has 3 sides, there are 6 ways to divide the lengths of the sides. Each of these 6 ratios has a name and an abbreviation attached to it. Abbreviations are more commonly used rather than the names. There are 3 ratios which are most commonly used are sine, S-I-N-E, in short written as S-I-N, still pronounced as sine, is defined as length of perpendicular upon the length of hypotenuse. Cosine, in short written as cos, C-O-S, is defined as length of base divided by length of hypotenuse. And tangent, which is most commonly written as tan, defined as length of perpendicular of the triangle divided by length of the base. There are other 3 ratios which we are not discussing as of now. They are related with sine, cos and tan, but will be taken up in the next video. So here we see again the same triangle with base, hypotenuse and perpendicular. Also, it is important to understand that the ratios depend on the shape of the triangle, that is the angles, but not on the size. Now, how do we use these ratios? With these functions, if you know an angle, that is an angle apart from the right angle, and the length of any one side, you can calculate all the other angles and lengths of all the sides. Let's say if you know the angle marked in red, let's call it A, and you know the length of the adjacent side, then what we can do is we can find tan A, which is defined as perpendicular divided by base. So perpendicular, which is the adjacent side, can be found by base into tan A, because you know the value of base, that is the adjacent side. So you can find the length of the perpendicular. Similarly, by using the formula of cos A, which is base upon hypotenuse, you can find base is equal to hypotenuse into cos A. So what we are trying to say here is that knowing any one side and one angle can help you find all the sides and all the angles of a right angled triangle. And now to the important and interesting part, mnemonics. What we have learned till now, the formulas for the right angle trigonometric functions are sine is equal to perpendicular upon hypotenuse, cosine is base upon hypotenuse, and tangent is equal to perpendicular upon base. Now sometimes we get confused during examination time that what is related to what. So what I learned during my student life from my teacher. I still remember. I would like to share it with you. If you see on the right hand side for each of the formulae, the first alphabet for perpendicular, hypotenuse, base, they have all been made bold. So please focus on that, and now see the mnemonics for learning these formulae. From what and how I learned, it was Pandit Badri Prasad Har Bole. Now see the way it has been written. Pandit P, Badri B, Prasad P. So P here stands for perpendicular, B stands for base, and H stands for hypotenuse. So if you see, if you relate the first line with the second line, P upon H, Pandit upon her, P upon H becomes the formula for sine. The second one, Badri upon her, B upon H becomes the formula for cosine, and Prasad upon Bole, P upon B becomes the formula for tan. So this is a very simple way of learning the formula for the trigonometric function. This is the basic introduction to trigonometry which we have provided. If you have liked the video, kindly click on the like button and subscribe to keep getting the updates. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed it.